Ahoy there, me hearties. Welcome to the Gentleman Gamers live stream late at night. Hello, welcome. Yeah, I didn't expect to be on here this late, wearing a hat indeed. Good to see any of you who happen to be rolling in. If indeed you are watching live, please do comment below. Hi, Nicholas. Good to see you. Good to see you, Nicholas. Nicholas, always a frequent visitor of the Gentleman Gamer channel, a frequent supporter. Always pleased to have your support, Nicholas. Always worthwhile. Yeah, might be wondering why I'm here tonight, what I have in store for you. Hello, A Pagan Perspective. Good to see you as well. Well, my main reason for being here is, and I will be mentioning this many times during this live Q&A, the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter has less than 24 hours to go, so you don't have long left to fund it, or well, it's already funded, long left to back it, and that means, well, your window is closing. And now, if I might recommend something, if you're already backing Mummy the Curse, then do consider upgrading to a print version if you can afford the postage. There are even some special backer levels left to be an art model or a consulting developer on an upcoming Mummy book. So don't let those go to waste. Once the Kickstarter's ended, you won't be able to back at those levels anymore. So do keep that in mind. So yeah, hello Nicholas. This cat makes me think of a crossover between They Came From Beneath the Sea and Mummy the Curse. Well, it is a cap I wear for the Gentleman Sea Captain's Guide to Aquatic Threats. That's a series on the Onyx Path YouTube channel. Not made one of those in a while, so maybe I'm going to have to go back to it. Dock Out. What a pleasant surprise. It's a pleasant surprise to see you as well, Dock Out. So I'm here in a very informal capacity, as you can see, by my wearing of hat and a rather flash shirt, if I do say so, to say it's wonderful to always be here on this channel, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have about work I've been doing, games I've been playing, games I've been running, any questions about role-playing in general. This is the Gentleman Gamers channel after all, so anything goes. Hello, Sean. Good to see you as well. We have the world's our oyster, to use an aquatic term. It's yeah, lovely to see all of you rolling in, and it's quite late at night for me. It's past midnight, but I thought it would be valuable to get a video out while Mummy the Curse is still on Kickstarter, because there's so few hours remaining now, and we are very, very soon, I think, going to hit the next stretch goal. Hello, Lark Crafter. Good evening to you as well. So yeah, I should say, of course, if you don't know what Mummy the Curse is, the full details of the game are on the Kickstarter, but in brief, it's a game where you play immortal, deathless monsters that wake up with the powers of gods and very little memory, and as their power decreases, their memory increases, and so they remember their past, they remember people they've encountered before. It's a mystery game, it's a horror game, it's a sort of science fiction game as well, because you can travel through time in it as well. Your mummy might wake up in 1945 and the next time wake up in 1776. Ah, wonderful. We've got some wonderful comments here. PK Conrad, you love my stuff, I love you. And Dock Out, your game of Cult was amazing with Redmond role-playing. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad you've enjoyed the summit with Redmond role-playing. Anyone who's not watched that or listened to that actual play on redmoonroleplaying.com, please do. Cult Divinity Lost is one of my favorite games, and I enjoyed working on it. And thank you, Tony the Bulbasaur, for backing the Kickstarter based on my previous live stream. To anyone who hasn't backed the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter, not long left to do so. Shay says, I'm excited about Mummy. Any consideration for potential crossover with Beast, Demon, and or Changelings? For that, look at the Contagion Chronicle. That's a book that's on backer kit right now. You can pre-order it. That book has crossovers for every Chronicles of Darkness game, including Mummy the Curse. Nicholas says, can I ask you a question about the Player's Guide to the Contagion Chronicle? You can ask, of course. The Zimishi Lord has arrived. Sean says, do it now, get on the chopper. What you waiting for? I'm here. Kill me. Do it now. No, that's a rare break into Schwarzenegger. Don't often do it these days, you know. Feel I've matured beyond the Schwarzenegger, but sometimes you've got to return to that well. Doc Out says, how is Cults of the Blood Gods coming along? Cults of the Blood Gods has been written for some time. Cults of the Blood Gods has been written. Art is in for it. We're just waiting for approval before we can launch the Kickstarter, basically. But yeah, I'm very happy with Cults of the Blood Gods. Sean says, get on the Kickstarter. Yes, exactly. Get on the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter while you still can. There's not long left. There should be a video description down below with a link. It should be the first thing you see there. And if it isn't, type in Mummy the Curse Kickstarter into Google, because I am depending on you to pledge. If you can only afford a PDF, that is absolutely fine. But please, if you have a bit of spare cash, I know it's near Christmas, but if you have a bit of spare cash, the upper tiers to become a consulting developer, to become an art model. There were 2 of those still remaining when I last checked. Pagan Perspective, I do have a question. I know you're a big Call of Cthulhu and World of Darkness fan. My question is, outside of these games, what would be your favorites to run and play on the outside of them? So my favorite game outside of World of Darkness and Chronicles of Darkness and Call of Cthulhu, and in fact, let's take They Came From Beneath the Sea out of the equation as well, would probably be Eclipse Phase. Eclipse Phase is a sci-fi game, transhumanism game. I'm a massive fan of Eclipse Phase. It's wonderful. I've often said it's the game I never want to work on because, as most of you know now, I write and develop role-playing games professionally. So, and that's, I guess, an industry not many people get into full-time, but that's what I do full-time. And although the opportunity has presented itself on occasion, Eclipse Phase is the one game I never want to be a writer of, simply because I enjoy it too much as a player, and as a GM, I don't want to kind of ruin it for myself, if you see what I mean. And I've now developed books for, or worked on books for, every one of the core 5 World of Darkness game lines, and I think for all of the Chronicles of Darkness as well. Now that I developed the Contagion Chronicle and co-developed Dark Eras 2. So yeah. It's interesting. I'm kind of narrowing my options. Is there a sanctuary of gaming left? And I'd say Eclipse Phase is that for me. City of Mist, says PK Conrad. I've not actually played City of Mist, but I hear it is fantastic. Danji says, good evening, gentlemen gamer. Long-time viewer, and I'm glad to see and hear the likes of you again. Greetings from Portugal. Hello, Portugal. It's late for you as well. Thank you very much for tuning in so late. Good evening from Gimel Star. Hope all is well with you and your family. All is well here. Nicholas says, I was wondering if the player's guide had examples of the Splats powers interacting with each other. If so, do you recall any examples? They will have examples of powers interacting with each other. However, I cannot recall any examples because I'm not developing that book directly. Yeah, I have heard City of Mist is not just a brilliant game to play, but also it's a beautiful game to look at. It isn't a book on my shelves. I don't own it, but I'm sure that it will enter my my collection at some point. My collection kind of goes like that. It sometimes increases in size, sometimes decreases in size. I'm quite prone to selling lots of books off at once, just because if I've read a book so many times, I don't see much of a point in keeping it. And I like books going to people who are actually going to use them. So that's why you can't see much. Well, I got rid of all of my 3rd edition D&D books, or the vast majority of them. Got rid of an awful lot of my vampire books, the other World of Darkness books for that matter. I got rid of all my Deadlands, Shadowrun. It's, you know, I have phases where I just get through a lot of books. I cannot remember which book or book section for the 20th edition series World of Darkness did I write, says Lark Crafter. Let's see. So I worked on Changeling 20th anniversary, Wraith 20th anniversary. Those were my core books for 20th anniversary. On Wraith, from memory, I wrote Carrot Creation. I may have written something else. For Changeling, I wrote the system chapter, I wrote the merits and flaws, I wrote the antagonists. Yeah, so I wrote quite a lot. Oh, and the treasures for Changeling. I also, well, for the source books, I've written source books for V20, Werewolf 20, Mage 20, and that there's been so much written on source books, well, that I've written for source books at this point, that I couldn't remember the specifics. But if you ask me about a specific book, I should be able to tell you. Pagan Perspective said, would you contribute to Call of Cthulhu maybe as something geared to the new 7th edition Gaslight? I would love to work on Call of Cthulhu, or Cthulhu by Gaslight. That's my favourite era for Call of Cthulhu, in fact. I have written for Call of Cthulhu for Chaosium. If you are a member of the organised play for Call of Cthulhu, I am a contributor to Flotsam and Jetsam, which is the organised play campaign. I wrote a story set in Innsmouth, but called Inheritance, which involves all the fun things you would expect from Innsmouth. It has deep ones, a contested will, a chase scene, kidnapping, that kind of fun. City is like Torg meets Diceless Amber, says PK Conrad. I shall bear that in mind. Doc out. So is Hunter the Vigil 2nd edition coming down the pipe anytime soon? Yes, it is. In fact, I was speaking to Dixie quite recently, Dixie Cochran, one of my colleagues, because she's editing it right now, and she's very close to finishing that. Sean Gates asks Beckett, what of him? I know him. Livia Lautenschlager says, hey, sexy, with 2 X's, which is double sexy. I think she must be referring to someone else in the chat section, because no one wearing this hat could ever be considered sexy. No. All right. So as we're drawing something of an audience, once again, Mummy the Curse 2nd edition doesn't have long left on Kickstarter, really doesn't have long left on Kickstarter. So if you haven't backed it already, do me a personal favor, go on to Kickstarter, back it, even if it's just at the PDF level, please. It will help push it towards the next stretch goal, and there isn't long left to hit that stretch goal. When I say that if we don't hit the stretch goal, that content won't be in the source book, I'm not exaggerating. We need to hit it to be able to fund the writers and the artists needed for an additional block of text, a lot of text. So please do back it if you want a bigger source book for Mummy the Curse. Sean Gates, sorry, meant as a prompt about 20th anniversary books worth mentioning. So other source books. Oh yes, Beckett's Jihad's Diary, of course. Yeah, so I worked on Beckett's Jihad's Diary. It's one of the vampire source books, probably the biggest vampire source book I have worked on as a co-developer, co-writer. I poured an awful lot of Vampire the Masquerade metaplot knowledge into that. If you're a fan of my Gentleman's Guide to Vampires, you'll find a lot of that in Beckett's Jihad's Diary. I am the skipper from Gilligan's Island. Chicago by Night question from Nicholas Milioni. And Livia Lautenschlager says, I'm humble. Yeah, not really. Rene Alexander says, what about Lucita? Where's she? Her presence will be revealed in time. Brandon Seavolt says, hello, Matthew. How are you, mate? I'm all right. I'm all right, Brandon. How are you, mate? Nicholas says, do you think Tally is happier now that the Sabbat seems to be hunting him? He seems to love a challenge. Yes. Tally is a bit Bond villainish in a way. I think he would lack meaning and very quickly fall to the beast if he didn't have a mission. He needs a purpose, and there's no greater purpose than escape. Right now, survival is going to be the key thing on his mind, and that's going to give him a lot of opportunities for action. Gimel Star says, I watched your Ivory Wall Chronicle live play again recently. I was wondering what the real story behind Party Boy and the Church. Oh, that was so long ago. If I remember, there was a Setite in the church. Was there a Setite in the church? Someone was obfuscating. I'm pretty sure it was a Setite. God, it was so long ago now. I honestly don't remember. I honestly do not remember. Sorry about that. I run a lot of games. With Mummy, do the relics do anything specific or just boost your powers? Yeah, they often have various magical powers that are unique to the relic. They also carry curses with them that can really make it a bad day for someone who steals such a relic. What was the first piece of content you professionally contributed to an RPG, asks Dawson. My first piece of content was for Book of the Worm for Werewolf the Apocalypse 20th Anniversary Edition, I wrote the Pentex Board of Directors. That wasn't my first paid piece. My first paid piece was in Sothis Ascends for Mummy the Curse, coincidentally. I wrote a 20,000 word chapter around the 6th century CE, the rise of Islam, that kind of era, and plague of Justinian. And that was good fun. It took a lot of research. It was one hell of a trial by fire for my first full-blown assignment. Brandon says, doing amazing. Good to see you back on the channel. Thanks, Brandon. Please check out the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter. That would be ace. Stefan says, hey, I have a question regarding tabletop RPGs in general. Me and a friend want to have a masquerade campaign. My friend, usually the GM, wants to play, and I'm demotivated to make one. What do? I recommend, Stefan, that you find a pre-published chronicle. That's the easiest way to do it, and run it like that. You can even have one of your characters in it, and they can kind of intercede as a reoccurring guest. That means that you get to play and run at the same time. If I can recommend any, you can either wait for Chicago by Night to come out, because that has a chronicle and lots of chronicle hooks in the back, or you can go vintage for Vampire and go for something like Ashes to Ashes or Blood Bond or Succubus Club, because that's got lots of stories in too. Renee says, thanks for the response. Super excited for what's to come. Me too. Stefan says, I wanted to put Gentleman Gamer after Hey, but comment limit is 200 characters. Lampcraft, I really like the whole of your V5 guide to vampires. It definitely had a feel of the VTM Gentleman's Guide. I think in the church, on another note, it seemed as though it was either a setite. It was a setite, yes. Justin Perry says, how would you say mummies and judges affect the Contagion Chronicle? Well, in fact, there's a mummy in the Edinburgh chapter of the Contagion Chronicle who is not from our world. He is not exactly the same kind of mummy as the mummies from Irem. Now, how do the judges affect the Contagion Chronicle? I think the judges, if their mindsets are almost entirely alien, so they're not going to interpret the Contagion as much other than an attacking force. There'll be some judges that probably see Contagion as a weapon to be used. Some might even see it as their will made manifest, and it may even indeed be the judge's will, but others are going to see it as something to be eradicated. And Arisen in general are going to identify Contagion as something that disrupts their descent or their sleep. And so they're going to need to extinguish it or control it. Thanks for the response, Stefan. Thank you for the question. Brandon says, 5th edition vampire question, haven't been in the game in ages. Did Clan and Sombra get wiped out? They're not wiped out at all. They're in Chicago by Night. That's where they're introduced. Nicholas says, yeah, the Sombra is still around. Feral Gangrel asks, question, was there any intention to create a 20th anniversary with the remaining game lines Hunter, Demon, Kindred of the East? And if there was, were they cut due to V5 and following games? So those pitches for those games have always been around. We at Onyx Path submit them to White Wolf Paradox because they own the license, and essentially they just have to approve it. Simple as that. The fact is with Hunter's 20th anniversary edition is this year. Demons isn't going to be for another 2 years. Do I think that we will actually get 20th anniversaries for those books? Probably not, because there's a new edition, and just like when D&D 5th edition came out, they stopped making 4th edition books. 20th anniversary is effectively 4th edition. So my suspicion is you won't see any more 20th anniversary core books, but I've been wrong before. Doc out. I'm excited to get my print copy of Chicago by Night, hopefully next month. I really hope so. It looks fantastic. Justin Perry says, thanks for the awesome response. Thank you, Justin, for tuning in. Please check out Mummy the Curse Kickstarter. Not long left. Scott Banks, hello. And I know Scott has backed the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter, so thank you, Scott. Good evening. Love meeting you at PDXCon. Good luck with the Kickstarter, says NGNJ. Thank you, Nudge. Brandon says, thanks for the response. I'm always happy to respond. That's why I'm here. Feral Gangrel says, thanks much for the response. That's in line with what I was thinking. Yeah, well, it looks like I am apparently the man for all seasons right now because I keep responding. But you know what will make me happy is if you haven't checked out the Mummy Kickstarter already, please do give it, even if it's a small pledge, and post in the comments on that Kickstarter, the Gentleman Gamer sent me here. Why? Why do that? It isn't just to boost my ego. It's because it's very valuable for me and for Onyx Path in general to see whether this channel has any kind of reach in the role-playing world. And so even if you're just backing for a PDF, leaving a comment to say the Gentleman Gamer sent me here, that's incredibly useful. You have no idea. Sean says, got to run to a meeting. Talk to you later, Matthew. Everyone else, back the Kickstarter. Sean is right. You should back the Kickstarter. It is your imperative duty. Lawful Faye says, not Vampire the Masquerade related, but another vampire RPG. Have you heard? What do you think of the RPG 1000-Year-Old Vampire? Fantastic concept. I've never heard of it, honestly. 1000-Year-Old Vampire. It is completely new to me, but I will look it up. I always look up things if they're recommended to me. Nicholas says, in V5, does Methuselah gain supernatural powers from having cults worshipping him as opposed to the temporal power of having other vampires do your bidding? No, you don't gain supernatural powers through worship in Vampire 5th Edition. Pagan perspective, as a writer for many games, what do you see for the future of tabletop RPGs, new game lines, new stories? Where are things going? I think we'll probably see, and this sounds very unimaginative, more of the same. If there's one thing tabletop RPGs have shown, it's no matter how many times people seem to claim the industry's dying, the hobby's dying, it never dies. It goes through waves of popularity, just like anything else. And if D&D 5th Edition is showing us anything right now with its popularity everywhere, it's that the idea of buying print copies and playing around the table is just as popular now, if not more popular now, than it was 10, 20 years ago. So you'll still see plenty of books in PDF. You'll still see mobile versions of books, like the Pugmire RPG, for instance, is free on mobile right now, and you can get the Silent RPG on mobile too. And they're especially formatted for that purpose. If you look on the Onyx Path's YouTube channel, there's actually a guide to the Pugmire mobile PDF. It's excellent. But yeah, we'll see RPGs being made more accessible via different means. Things like Astral Tabletop, Roll20 are, of course, bridging the online divide, where we all used to use Google Hangouts to record our sessions, stream them to YouTube. Now you can do it with maps and essentially miniatures and sound effects and lights and all kinds of wonderful things. It's great. Technology advances, RPGs advance, but at their core, they remain the same. D&D is still primarily a print and retail model, and it does amazingly well. Rivers RPG channel says, hi, all. Hi, Rivers. Dark Out says, the Kickstarter moving over to the Onyx Path creator almost made me miss the day one backing. Luckily, I found it. Yes, that is lucky. Daniel Wright says, when can we expect to see They Came From Beneath the Sea coming out? Well, I'm wearing the hat to celebrate because, here's the news, I finished proofing They Came From Beneath the Sea, doing the first proof just yesterday. So I'm telling you that now. I finished the first proof of They Came From Beneath the Sea yesterday. So what that means is the art director will implement any changes that I instructed. I will then do a second proof, and then it will go out to backers. There you go. A pagan perspective, I'm looking into Scion now with Scion and Hero. Very interesting. Thank you. I hope my Gentleman Guide to Scion has helped with that. There'll be more of those videos to come. Hello, Base Hunter Thompson. Rivers RPG channel. Have you ever played Beyond the Supernatural? You know what? I have. A long time ago. God, that is a game that... And Beyond the Supernatural has actually got a fair amount of cult feel to it, saying that Metropolis Inferno Gnostic vibe. But yeah, I remember Beyond the Supernatural. If I remember, do you play like godlike beings in that, or angelic or demonic beings? God, it's been so long. Thank you, Livia, for the offer. That's a very kind offer. Don't try to find me though. That would be a bit weird. I'm all right where I am, but you know, if we bump into each other at a convention, I'll be more than happy to shake your hand. LARP Crafter, it's great, but I miss Vampire the Masquerade 20th gaming via Hangouts. Such good time a few years back. Yeah, I think it's a big shame Google Hangouts just stopped doing its stream to YouTube. I'm not entirely sure why, but Google does like to chop things off. Look at Google+. What have we got here from Star? Have to go now. Thanks for answering my question. I'll check out the Kickstarter as soon as I can. You've got fewer than 24 hours to go, so do check it out quickly. Good night, everyone. Thanks for what you do. And an LOL from Livia. Dock out, I hope the further V5 editions of the games of systems like the Blood Dice, it makes for some exciting gameplay with higher hunger. I don't know for sure. I'm not working on Werewolf 5th edition or Mage 5th edition or any other 5th edition, but it wouldn't surprise me if you have the same kind of mechanics for Rage, for Paradox, things like that. It makes a lot of sense that it is easily convertible. And that's not a guarantee, that's a pure hypothesis on my part, but it's certainly a basis from which I would develop a system to fall in line with the V5 method. So yeah, with all these viewers right now, and I do hope you can hear me and you're enjoying this, I do again have to recommend, please do check out the Kickstarter for Mummy the Curse 2nd edition. And you know what, I'm going to check to see whether any of you have, because I'm going to go over to it right now, and this gives you like a 30-second head start. If you haven't backed it yet, or if you have backed it and you want to go into the comments and say, the Gentleman Gamer sent me here, now is when I'm going to be looking for that comment. I'm going to be looking right now. So you've got the opportunity now to click on the link for the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter. If you've not backed it, back it at the PDF level, back it at whichever level you like, but PDF is always a good place to start. And go straight to the comment and say, I backed this because the Gentleman Gamer or the Gentleman Gamer sent me here. That is a good thing to do as far as I'm concerned. So now that I have told you that, I am very slowly going to navigate my way over to the Kickstarter, and I'm going to give you a shout out if I see a name there saying that the Gentleman Gamer sent you here. And you know, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed if at least one of you hasn't left a comment. I'll be heartbroken. I will be devastated. I may have to terminate this live stream right now if at least one of you has not left a comment that says the Gentleman Gamer sent me here. So be warned. If you haven't gone over to the Kickstarter and backed it at the PDF level or any other, but again, PDF is a good place to start, and left a comment, say the Gentleman Gamer sent me here, you're breaking my heart. You would be breaking my heart. So let's see. Let us see. And you have charged for Kickstarter once the Kickstarter concludes. Some lovely comments from Lewis right now, by the way. Die slowly, gay sailor. That's delightful. Let's see what we can do about this guy. Let's remove. Well, I think we'll put this user in a timeout. There we go. Bye-bye, Lewis. Right, I'm now going to go over to the Kickstarter. And now we will see, won't we? We'll see whether any of you have upheld your end of the bargain. Yes, there we go. Ha ha ha. There, right. So we have special thanks to three people right now. We have Dockout. Dockout, the Gentleman Gamer sent you there. Dockout, you are a golden god. I will not forget you. I will sacrifice some kind of offering to you. I'm thinking a fish. Fish? Would the fish work? Yeah, fish on like an altar. Maybe bake it if the altar's quite hot. That'd be nice. Anyway, so you get a fish. Daniel Wright says, GG sent me here. I love the abbreviation, Daniel. It implies familiarity. It implies we're close. I feel like we're close now. I feel like we're like this. So Daniel, you don't earn a fish, you earn a chicken. Not a lot of people know this, but I used to work in an abattoir. That was one of my very first jobs. And before that, well, I grew up in the countryside. Doing things like wringing chickens' necks, killing rabbits, things like that was fairly par for the course. I can break apart a chicken very easily. I will break apart a chicken for you. And then we have Elastiel saying, the Gentleman Gamer sent me here. Elastiel, I blow you a kiss. And it's heartfelt. This is right for your lips. I hope it lands. I hope it gives you warm tonight. I hope it fills you with as much love and respect as I feel you've just given me. Thank you so much. So let's see. Right, let's go back to the chat log now. Renee says, will the Zimishi join V5? Oh, yes, they will. Daniel Wright, I'm glad I backed the Mummy of the Curse Kickstarter. I'm looking forward to the full preview manuscript. I'm very glad you did as well, Daniel. The entire manuscript is already available. You can go through the updates on the Kickstarter and read it now. Nicola says, people have asked many times, what is your favorite clan to innovate? I'll ask, what's your favorite judge? Ooh, Amut, the Devourer, of course. Because when have I ever not played the villain? Pagan Perspective says, we do appreciate you and your channel have been here since almost your first year. Looking forward to see what you bring next. Well, this channel is being revitalized. It's being spruced up a little with videos like this, The Gentleman's Guide to Scion. There will be more as well. Dock Out, thank you very much. Justin Perry says, a bit unfamiliar. Oh, yes, I've already answered that. And what else do we have? Up late, aren't we? Says CRK1142. It is damn late. But there's not long left to back the Kickstarter. And I thought, if I get this done now, it's better to get this done now than try and do it in the morning when everyone else is asleep. LARP Crafter can't back at any level, makes him very sad. It makes me sad as well. But I understand financial constraints. I do. Working in the RPG industry isn't exactly Scrooge McDuck diving into a pit of money every day. If I'm attracting trolls, I must be doing something right, says Justin Perry. Dawson Malicott says he's just uncomfortable with how that cat makes him feel. I'm very comfortable with how this cat makes me feel, believe me. Bass Hunter Thompson says, you are so compelling. I promise I will check out the Kickstarter tomorrow. It's very long, and I was just on my way to bed when I saw this. Don't leave it too late, Bass Hunter. Don't leave it too late, because that Kickstarter has very few hours left to go. What the hell's name's that? Gemstill says, hello. Dockout says, a fish will do. Gemstill says, oh my, this is already an amazing stream. Thank you. Daniel Wright, ooh, that disgusting anecdote was worth a comment. LARP Crafter, it would be great if someone said Edward Coynegan sent me here. Bubblegum Blood says, burning fish, I sense early Malkavian energy. Oh god, no. Brandon says, just pledged. I hate rural internet. Night Octopus, love the hat, looking good, GG. Thank you very much. After all, I did conceive of, develop, co-write. They Came From Beneath the Sea. I'm a regular Ed Wood, so I need a hat for They Came From Beneath the Sea. It is a snazzy cap. I take it out on my yacht often. Darkhouse says, are the judges actual gods or maybe cosmic Lovecraftian entities? Well, they're gods and Lovecraftian entities. When is one and not the other? There's no such thing as deities as such in Chronicles of Darkness, so I would put them in the cosmic Lovecraftian entity camp, but they certainly have deific power. Bass Hunter says, roger that. Dawson says, sorry, I meant that Lewis guy couldn't handle the cap. You don't look uncomfortable in it at all. Indeed, I am rocking it, aren't I? So let's see. Do we have any other comments here? Ha ha ha. Nicholas, thank you, Nicholas, for reminding us that the Gentleman Gamer sent you here. Nicholas, what can I say to you other than when I ran that Call of Cthulhu game for you and others, and you turned up at the mansion disguised as a distant uncle and then offered a little girl a lollipop to keep her quiet because your disguise was about to be rumbled. It's one of my favorite RPG memories of the year, just because of how badly that entire thing went for you. It was great fun. Thank you so much. Brandon says, GG sent me here. Thank you very much, Brandon. I am very grateful. And what have we sacrificed already? We've sacrificed a fish. We've sacrificed a chicken. We've blown a kiss. We've thanked someone for their role playing. So for you, I'm going to shed some virginal blood. So I will just look for someone in the comments who I think matches that description, and I will cut them open from bow to stern because I'm in a sailor's cap, and we'll dine on their innards together. How about that? That's a nice thing, isn't it? Gentleman Gamer is a Lovecraftian entity. Yep. But which one? Which Lovecraftian entity do you think I am? Probably Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep does take human form more than any of the other great old ones. Yeah, don't let me know that I know. It's too late. Bass Hunter Thompson says, ah, yes, that scene from the mansion. Father William, any plans to make tribe clan videos for mummy, mage, or demon? They've been really handy introducing new players to the lore. Oh, there will be more. Right now, we've got, obviously, the Gentleman's Guide to Scion. There will be more associated with other games. Do keep watching. I don't know that I'll be wearing this cap on every single video, Game Stills, but you are certainly inspiring me to do so. And thank you, Nicholas. It was great fun to run for you. Justin says, yes, please make more mummy, mage, and demon videos. Oh, God, there's pressure now. Blaine says, pick me. Well, Blaine, you've got to back the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter. If you want a tribute, if you want me to sacrifice something to you, if you want anything from me, you've got to go to the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter. You've got to back it. I recommend, again, PDF at the very least, and then I'll make some kind of pledge to you in return. Brandon says, damn, dude, that's amazing. I wish I knew what. Yes, the person we sacrificed. See, I kill so many people. Daniel says, I was just going to say Nyarlathotep. Excellent. Is it Nyarlathotep? Is it Nyarlathotep? Is it, how is it I heard it pronounced? I think the first time I pronounced Nyarlathotep, I think Nyarlathotep. I don't think I could even say it the way I said it the first time I ran Call of Cthulhu. Nyarlathotep? Don't know. Who can say, really? The man in yellow, not the king, just the man in yellow, a bit lower down. I live in a republic, apparently. The citizen in yellow. If you cut open a mummy and feast on them, does it linger or does it just disappear into universe juice? I was not here, says. They wouldn't bleed, that's for damn sure. Let's see. Wear the cap, wear the cap. We did get to meet Nicholas's mother during that game of Call of Cthulhu, and that was lovely. It was a lovely, unexpected surprise, but she seems like a lovely lady. I am making a compelling argument to back it right now, so you go over to the Kickstarter and do it. Everyone's saying the Nyarlathotep. It's pronounced Zimisi, says Bubblegum Blood. Is it Zimisi, Jimisi, Zimishi, Zimitsi? Who would pass on a proper sacrifice? Why are you wearing a sailor's cap? Is this a Sombra Corsair outfit? I'm wearing it in honor of They Came From Beneath the Sea, which is my B-movie sci-fi game by Onyx Path, because I finished proofing it yesterday, finished my first proof of it, so now this sailor's cap is fixed on my head until I get to the end of the second proof. There we go. Paying to be cut bow to stern seems a bit of a raw deal to me, says Blaine Snyder. I'm not saying I'm cut you bow to stern. Well, then again, maybe you're the virgin sacrifice we need. I don't know. I'm not trying to make a guess as to your virginity status. But if that's you offering yourself as a sacrifice, those are the best sacrifices. They're best when they're voluntary, I find. Justin says, I pronounce it Nyarlathotep, but I'm likely wrong. I don't think there's a right way. Daniel Wright says, I don't think it really matters. H.P. Lovecraft said he wrote the names to be nigh unpronounceable. Yes, Cthulhu is supposed to be... Chad Griffith says, when you're working on a new edition, how do you approach slaughtering sacred cows, changing, getting rid of things people have grown accustomed to, attached to? That's a really good question, Chad. And it is difficult. I mean, if we look at V5, for instance, there were undoubtedly changes to systems and settings that I was party to and was quite happy with. Some I wasn't happy with, but we were on a team, so there was a lot of decisions we made as a group. When it comes to something like, let's say, the splitting up of Clan Tremere, that was my proposal, that Clan Tremere would be broken into houses. Because I like factionalism, and I thought it would be nice to shake up Clan Tremere. You could still play the old pyramid hierarchy if you remember of House Tremere, but there's lots of other options now. One thing that you've got to keep in mind is it's a new edition of a game. If you keep releasing the same edition with the same meta plot where every clan is stagnant, there will be people that complain that this isn't a new edition. If you move things on too far, you get it called a realm shaking event or whatever. It's a spell plague, and that can completely ruin the setting. So my idea generally isn't to further meta plot in a directly linear fashion, it's to expand it. I like giving players options. And I think in terms of the sacrificing of sacred cows, what you really have to do as a games designer is, as if you're expanding things, if you're moving metaplot on, you need to provide more options than they ever had before. That's my view. Or you need to make the new version so setting rich that they again are provided with lots of options. When I design games, when I write games, my primary aim is utility over creative fluff. Because I could write the most fantastic piece of fiction. I probably couldn't, but let's say I could, about how a Kia Ceed is strolling down the road, making everyone succumb to his riddling hypnotism, and it could last 30 pages. But that's not going to help anyone with a story. Whereas if I can write about lots of in-character opinions of that weird night and all the things that happened afterwards, what you're doing there is seeding lots and lots of plot. So the best way to sacrifice something in a game is to replace it or grow it into something that has a lot more hooks on it. But that's a really good question, Chad. Thank you for asking it. Looking forward to They Came From, says CRK. Paddy says, which of those books do you have to pull to open the secret dungeon? That would be one of the Planescape. Oh shit, I shouldn't tell you that. Blistering Barnacles, says CRK. Nicholas, since everyone is asking about the Zumitsu, I'd like to know what's your opinion on Vampire the Masquerade's version of Vlad Dracul. Do I like that version of the classic character? I would have preferred if his clan was left ambiguous. I think Requiem does Dracula very well. I think there's about 3 Draculas in the game because each of them claims the name. One might be classic, one might be historic Vlad Dracul, one might be modern Vlad Dracul, one might be movie-like Vlad Dracul. I quite enjoy that. Oh, well, I'm glad you thought the changes to Tremere and V5 made them more playable. Bass Hunter says he said spell plague. I know, it's controversial still, even to this day. Justin says, agree 100% with what you said about letting things get too stagnant. The old material is still there for people who don't want change. I agree completely. With drivethrurpg.com, nothing really goes out of print. Doc out, will you be working on the Fall of London V5 Chronicle? I was in fact the initial developer of the Fall of London V5 Chronicle from Modiphius. I stepped back from that and Steffi Devan stepped in. I recommended her. I'm very glad she got that role. It was just not something I could do at the time. I had lots of other responsibilities. And yeah, it was a book I initialized and I have not seen it since I stepped away from it. So I'm going to be as surprised by how it looks as anyone else. I Was Not Here says you change too much and you get Vampire the Requiem where you took an axe to the clans and everything and sacrificed too much without offering more in return. It's interesting you should say that I Was Not Here because you get polarized views on Requiem. I'm a big fan of Requiem, but some people say it's not different enough from Masquerade because you've still got terms like Vitae, Ventru, Nosferatu, and Gangrel. You've still got a blood pool. You still have, let's see, still have a lot of the same terminology like sires and childer and things, kindred. But come Vampire the Requiem 2nd edition, I think they really hit the sweet spot. I think Requiem 2nd edition is still probably my favorite vampire game. Brandon Seavolt says, can't wait to see Chicago by Night. Keen to see the Obtenebration Tree. Well, it's Oblivion now, Brandon. I'm going to have a look at the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter and see whether anyone else has backed in the interim and left another comment to say that they are supporting it based on this video. Let's see. Good God, you're all sweeping in now. Rene Alexander, the gentleman gamer is king, and he sent me here, so yay. Probably Pharaoh. Pharaoh's probably best, Rene. And what would you like, Rene? What would you like as a sacrifice to you? I think I'm going to sacrifice for you a unicorn. And I'm going to sacrifice for you a unicorn in a way that the god of strife, Bane, would appreciate. I think I will hold the unicorn in place, twist its horn off of its head, yank it free, and then stab it repeatedly with its own horn. I think doing that on a dark altar to the Lord of Tyranny, Lord of Strife, the Dark Lord, the Gauntlet, Bane, would really be a suitable sacrifice to you, Rene. And I also have Dane Shemik saying the gentleman sent me. Hello, Dane. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for backing. That was very kind of you. And I do hope you enjoyed the manuscript from Mummy the Curse, which you can read. Just click on the updates on the Kickstarter. That's all you need to do, because we don't have long left. So do check out that manuscript while you can. You'll still be able to access it after the fact, but still, it's a good thing to do. And I need to make another sacrifice already, don't I? I feel like I need to burn something this time. I need to burn something. What should I burn? I'm thinking a very old tree. That may not sound like a very interesting sacrifice, but this tree is the home to lots of nymphs, dryads, those kinds of things. They're inside it when we set fire to the tree magically, because they'll probably be able to put out a mundane fire. And we can step back, watch them scream, listen to them scream, watch them burn, and really, again, in service to, I think we'll go for Talos this time. I'm sticking with the Forgotten Realms theme. Enjoy the destruction of nature's purity. So there you go, Dane. What we'll do, we'll sacrifice a tree and its inhabitants. Mark Torres says, good evening, morning from across the pond of New York City. Excellent hats. Makes me feel you're going to take us to the city of Rillier. Maybe, really, eh? Yeah, really. Feral Gangrel says, congrats, sir. After debating since the announcement, I've decided to back Mummy. Yes. First setting I've backed since changing second. CRK has been horrorized. Larpcrafter, for me, my favorite vampire games are Vampire the Masquerade and 20th and V5. I appreciate the differences as well as the subtle similarities. They're great. Daniel says, damn, and all I got was a fucking chicken. Yeah, I know. Everything is escalating. But all right, fine. You get a Chocobo from Final Fantasy. I'm going to twist a Chocobo's head off just for you, and we will drink the blood from its neck. We're up in the game. Larpcrafter, Burn Alder or Hawthorne. Rene Alexander is honoured by my sacrifice. See, who says I don't do anything for my subscribers? This is what you want. You want sacrifices. You want the blood. You want the flames. You want the extinguishing of purity in the name of the Dark Lord, lords and ladies. Hell, the Dark Lord Gentleman Gamer. Why not? We're going very morbid right now. Now, it is getting quite late. Well, it's getting very late. It's nearly 1 a.m. where I am. So that means there's not much time left. Spicy Jesus is already talking about drinking Chocobo blood. Yes, we are, Spicy Jesus. You arrived at just the right time. Pull up a pew, take a green Chocobo's head off, join the feast. Now, I will be departing soon because I definitely need beauty sleep. But if any of you haven't backed the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter yet, I know I keep on about it, but there isn't much. There isn't much time left. So I'm going to keep on about it because I really want to hit that stretch goal. I want to hit as many as we can. Hell, if we manage to get past that one, we'll add another one, I imagine. So I've got to ask you a favor. I need to ask you, if you can back this, back it. It is a fantastic game. You have probably never experienced a game quite like Mummy the Curse 2nd Edition, and that's not hyperbole. There are so few games where you start off with godlike powers and you end up with wisdom, and you have to rely on your cults, and where you can effectively time travel, where your games can be set forward, backward, forward in time, and you can use knowledge from the future in the past, and paradox does not affect you. It's a game of great discovery, a fantastic plot, And I think that term mystery, I love the idea of a mystery game, and Mummy the Curse is just a perfect mystery game. So do check it out while you still can. It won't be on the Kickstarter for much longer, and it will be hugely appreciated if you can. And if you can't back it, that's fine too. All of you watching, take that link, share it to your social media, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it wherever you hang around, because you never know, it might draw 1 or 2 more people's attention. And this game really is beautiful in words and art. From the bottom of my heart, I say, as the developer of Mummy the Curse 2nd Edition, thank you very much to anyone who is doing that, anyone who backs, anyone who shares. It really is appreciated. Do we need to make rouse checks due to the flames, says Brandon? I don't know. Are we vampires in this scenario? I consider ourselves more like evil clerics. Daniel Wright says that escalated quickly. Sacrifices often do. Justin says, everyone back the Kickstarter. Yes. Bass Hunter Thompson says, your charisma modifier can't get higher. Stay awake. Good night. Checking the Kickstarter in the morning. Dockout says, mummies on Mars. Mummies are indeed on Mars in this manuscript. Scott Banks says, when is the next episode of the game you're running for Red Moon Roleplaying? I recorded the last part tonight, so it won't be too long. Mangoland says, good evening. Good evening, Mangoland. You're not going to have me with you for long because, as I say, it's late and I'm mostly here just to draw some final attentions to the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter. And I hope I do. I hope this has an effect, a positive upswing, shall we say, in the number of backers. We have exceeded 1,000, and that it isn't a small thing, believe me. So let's see, is there anyone else for me to make a sacrifice to? There is Rose, the ambiguously named Rose. What should we sacrifice for you, Rose? Rose, 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 Rose. I'm going to sacrifice my singing voice to you. I will literally take a knife and cut out my vocal cords for you, Rose, so that no one else would ever need to hear me sing again, so that your ears will be the last ones to hear me sing. In fact, I've got a better idea. Rather than me doing that, I will cut off your ears and pierce your eardrums in sacrifice so that you never again have to hear a voice other than mine. I will sacrifice your hearing for you. There. Beautiful. Mark Torres says, thank you, Gentleman Gamer, for everything and have a good rest. Let's all resume our sacrificial offering line to Mummy Kickstarter. Yes, Mark, please do. Doc out, do you sleep with your captain's hat on? I do, but not on my head. Spicy Jesus says, thank you for everything. Thank you, Jesus. CRK, super horrorized. Rose Retro says, that works. Doc out doesn't look happy. Well, I believe sacrifices should be a serious thing. We started with a fish. We ended up with someone's eardrums. Don't forget, I also write for Cult Divinity Lost, so sometimes things get a bit horrific in my head. Sometimes I just need to let it out at you, the viewers. And yeah, that's just how these things work. Sacrifice wouldn't be sacrifice if you didn't lose something. That's why it's called sacrifice. So, in my final few minutes on this earth before I'm called back to my ship, Poochie disappears. My planet needs me. Yeah, that fish is beautiful, Doc out. Really, it's probably the best off sacrifice given what happened afterwards. It's just a fish, really. I mean, it was a sentient fish. It had the mind of a human. At one point, it was a human, but I polymorphed it into a fish. It was the most benevolent king in the land, and the peasants, well, weren't even peasants in its land, in this king's land. They wanted for nothing. They were always fed, well educated. It was a utopia. And unfortunately, the king crossed my followers. We wanted to pass through his land. We wanted to take some of what he had. And he denied us. He said, no, my people are protected. And so we abided by his rules. We didn't touch his people. But when it came to him, we polymorphed him into a fish. We baked him on an altar. And you ate him. So there you go. And we did, yeah, we polymorphed him into a whale shark. Why not? One last question. Do you like the Path of Cain? Do you find wise for vampires to emulate their supposed creator? I actually have a few issues with Paths of Enlightenment in general. I love the idea, but I rarely find players who can play them effectively. A lot of people use them as an excuse just to be whatever dickhead they want at the table. But if you play things like the Path of Cain, Path of Lilith, Path of Honorable Accord, Power in the Inner Voice, as religions, as philosophies, and your characters are absolutely dedicated to them, I think they can be fantastic. The thing is, most Sabbat aren't going to be of the mindset where they can do that. Most Sabbat are just going to be very low on the path of humanity or path of the beast. And that's just the way they play, because most characters aren't philosophers. They're not priests. But if you play someone who is, you can create a really interesting pack of vampires who all have their own divergent philosophy, their own belief system. And it can make for a really religious, introspective game. Let's see. Do we have anything else here? CRK, talking about sacrifices, check The Parable of the Old Man and the Young by Wilfred Owen. No, of course, I don't know Wilfred Owen personally, but I do know Wilfred Owen, a Great War poet. Prepares to sacrifice the paladins by first corrupting them with doubt of their oaths and beliefs. You've got the idea, Mark. Good stuff. Trizian says, glad to hear about more Mummy love. Anything for Geist in the future? Yeah, there's more Geist books coming up. Spicy Jesus, it's finals week at college. Wish me luck. I'll try and back it tomorrow before it ends. Good luck, Spicy Jesus. Back it now. Back it now. There's not much time. Do it. Do it now. Do it. Back it. Back it. What you waiting for? Do it now. Daniel Wright says, you mean the paths of doing whatever the hell I want? I think that was the path of the scorched heart, wasn't it? Dockout says, your mind is amazing. Get some rest. I'll enjoy my royal whale shark for weeks. Mark Torres says, good luck, Spicy Jesus. Brandon Seavolt says, get some sleep, Matthew. Please stream a live game of Mummy. Would totally be keen to watch one. In the meantime, do check out redmoonroleplaying.com, because I've been running a game of Mummy the Curse for them, set primarily in the, well, initially in the French Revolutionary era, and then during the Second World War. So, because Mummy is a game where you hop through time. So yeah, do check that out. I'm going to have a look now. Is there anyone else who is backed the Kickstarter who needs a sacrifice from the Gentleman Gamer? One last check. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, everyone. Anyone here who hasn't backed the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter yet, you've got 5 minutes to get there, to back the Kickstarter, and I will make an elaborate, horrific sacrifice for you in that time. But I'll only be able to do it if you leave a comment that says the Gentleman Gamer sent me here. So Lawful Face says, sacrifice the villains by redeeming them and then sacrificing them to the dark gods they once worshipped. I think Leviatar would really appreciate that. Mimi M says, I'm a pretty Latina escort. Click me. No. I don't recommend anyone watching this. Clicks Mimi M. No. Dance Pasino du Romano says, Jin, his Dockout says, pass. Daniel Wright says, oh yes, forgot to say that you and the other folks at Red Moon Role Playing are doing a great job with the sacrifice. Clara is a fantastic storyteller, excellent friend, brilliant colleague, incredibly creative. Jin says, Dance Pasino do Romano. And to be honest, I can't think of anything more satisfying than to end this stream with Dance Pasino do Romano. I mean, we can't say much more than that. Mimi M is laughing her arse off at my voice. Well, I'm afraid that arse is the next thing that we're going to be sacrificing, I'm afraid. So the next person who backs the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter gets Mimi's arse as a sacrifice. So let's see who gets it. Now remember, one of you's got to go over to the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter. You've got to back it. You've got to back it at least at the PDF level. You've got to leave a comment. If you do, we've got the sacrificial item, well, the items, if you like. They've fallen off because of how much she was laughing. Let's not let them go to waste. Someone needs them in sacrifice. Someone needs these buttocks. So, who's it going to be? Because so far we've sacrificed a king polymorphed into a fish. We've sacrificed a chocobo. We've sacrificed eardrums. We've sacrificed a tree housing dryads. We've sacrificed, gosh, so many things. And it's never enough, is it? It's never enough. Oh, while I'm waiting for someone to back. Hello, Henry. I was not here. Says I already had a pledge around $25 like a week ago, but I do have a question. Would it be too weird to attempt a Magar that has effectively two beasts, one the regular vampire and the other a fae? That would be weird, wouldn't it? You could. I imagine that character wouldn't be around for long because either they'd tear themselves apart or someone else would, because it's difficult enough balancing one beast, let alone two. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. All right, so there's an awful lot of shit being posted in the chat at this point. So one more look. Well, no, I'm afraid to say, Mimi, that although you laughed your ass off, and a unicorn as well, we stabbed the unicorn to death, let's not forget. Mimi, you can take your ass back. No one wants it. And a virgin, yes, a virgin. God, like I said, too many to remember. Now, all that being said, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. It's been much appreciated, you tuning in for this live stream, impromptu as it has been. And thank you so much to everyone who not only watched, but also backed the Mummy the Curse Kickstarter. If you haven't been able to back it, that's absolutely fine. I understand. But please do share it on your social media. There isn't long left. And when you do share it, I'm reading the comments still. When you do share it, do say there's less than 24 hours to go to back. I guarantee it's going to bring an uptick in pledges, and the more pledges we get, the more mummy books we get, and that means the more content for you, the players and storytellers, and more for me to write, which is always good too. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and yeah, I will have a good night's sleep.